onto this. So we are live. Welcome. Good morning, everybody. So, ladies and gentlemen, listen, the plot thickens. The EPPING migrant jail release. So I'm going to give you guys an update on that. I'm also going to be talking about today something I've mentioned in previous videos, but now it's hitting the mainstream media. There are a lot of British citizens now volunteering to commit crimes for Russia. I think I need to do a standalone video on this, but this is basically what we've said before on this channel, whereby we're moving into this new phase of civil war, civil conflict, you know, and they're not, it's not, you're not really going to be able to call it civil war because it's not going to be a civil war as such. What it's going to be is this like hybrid scenario where you've got literally people in Britain being paid to commit crimes. Now, I think that's the direction of travel. I do. I think that's the way it's going, and you know that's what we're seeing happening in real time. So I'll give you guys an update of the latest from the EPPING migrant sex offender released. So police hunt EPPING migrant. Police are continuing a manhunt for an asylum seeker who was mistakenly released from prison on Friday, weeks after being jailed for sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl. Look, I've talked on this channel quite a lot about subversion. I've talked quite a lot about asymmetric warfare, and I'm not convinced that this was. In fact, hang on, let me. And I'm not convinced that this was, well, let's just say, okay, how would you want to discredit a government? You would want to do things like this. You know, you really would want to do things like this. You would want to release these people into the public. It's all part of that destabilization, you know, destabilizing a country. Because, guys, listen, if you want to use Yuri Bezmenov's 4 phases of ideological subversion, we are being destabilized right now as a country. I'm not convinced, guys. I am not convinced this was an accident. What I want to know is, what I want to try and understand is how this happened. And like, first of all, how did this happen? How did this guy get released by accident? Who was in charge of the paperwork? Was there anyone new? Was there anyone new? That's what I want to know. Was there anyone new? Did anybody go into that office and move paperwork around? Somebody that's not usually there. And, you know, we all like to think of some sort of, when we talk about espionage and we talk about subversion, we all want to think of somebody in like a tuxedo, you know, zip lining down, and that look, guys, that may be the case. It may be the case that there was a cocktail party, somebody tried to find the toilet, went to the room above, they took their tuxedo off, they had a rope, they tied the rope onto the balcony above, said something cool to a lady inside, jumped down, rappelled down to the window below, did some shit on a computer. And then that was it. Then he rappelled back out, and then he walked out with a cigar or something. We all want to think of that, don't we? That's like that's the image that we've got. The reality is, it's probably somebody who's got authority to do that. So I'm talking about high-level government here. And look, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't think high-level government would do this, hang on, guys. I need to click some buttons. Sorry, guys. So here's a question for everyone, okay? If you don't think, and by high-level government, I don't mean David Lammy, because David Lammy, I don't think he's got the fortitude to do this. What I'm talking about here, guys, is, sorry, going back. If you don't think that high-level government have the ability to do this, we've all seen the videos. We've all seen the videos of those boats going back to France. And I called this months and months and months ago, not about the boats, but I said, look, what's happening with these life jackets? So you know how the boat migrants come on the life jackets? You know how the boat migrants come and they're all wearing these like shiny new life jackets? Well, they're not life jackets, they're buoyancy aids. Life jackets is different, but we won't get into that. You know, they're all in these shiny buoyancy aids. And what, like months and months ago, before it came out on the mainstream, I said to you guys, I said, there's something here with these life jackets, because like, how are they, like, you can't buy those numbers. I've tried to buy things in big numbers when I was in the military, when I used to work in the private industry, private sector. You know, you can't buy those things at that scale. It's very difficult. You know, it's very difficult to go to a shop and say, hey mate, can you give me 1,000 life jackets? They're like, not a chance, mate. I'm gonna have to have them made. And then you go to the manufacturer, can you make me 1,000 life jackets? He's like, oh God, it's going to take me months, you know, so you can't just do it. So, it turns out that those buoyancy aids, life jackets as everybody's calling them, have been handed over back to the French, back through the French authorities. So now, guys, look, now we understand from that there is government involvement. The government are helping the migrant gangs. Nobody seems to care about, nobody's asked that fundamental question. Nobody, guys, nobody. And I don't want to go down Candice Owens. I don't want to go Candice Owens. I love Candice Owens. Guys, I love Candice Owens. I do. I love her. I think she's great. She did a wild one the other day. She did a wild video. She was saying that Elon Musk, Sam Altman, and somebody else are, I think she said they're like reptilians or something. And I was like, oh God, Candice, I love you. I think that's a bit too far. But what I'm getting at here is, guys, you know, sorry, I know we're talking about the EPPING manhunt, but the reason I said that is you've got to contextualize now that at government level, the government is complicit in bringing these migrants over. There's no doubt in that, guys. There is no doubt. There is no question mark. The government are helping the criminal gangs, and nobody's talking about that. So if we understand that's already happening, you know, why wouldn't this be, why wouldn't the government have the ability to do this, to release this guy by accident? So that's what we're talking about this morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be focusing on the great EPPING manhunt. I can't even pronounce his name. I'm just going to call him Hadush. I'll call him Hadush now, guys, because his full name is almost impossible to pronounce. So Hadush is on the run. Also, we've got another, more stuff coming out on the mainstream media now. British citizens are volunteering British citizens are volunteering to commit crimes for Russia. For money and glamour, says terror chief. So this has been released. This was released yesterday, guys, last night. This was an article that was released last night, and I've been saying this guy to you guys for quite a while. You know that this is the way what we're moving into. So when we're moving into this civil war, and it is coming, guys. There's no. It's It's not even coming. It's here. It is. It's here. It's not going to be. It's not going to be the civil war that we're all thinking of, and there's going to have to be a new name for it, because there's going to be so many different fractions here, so many factions, and fractions. There's going to be so many different groups. So now it's come out on the mainstream, like I've been warning for a long time. British citizens are volunteering to commit crime for Russia for money. So again, we all have these images of, sabotage and state-sponsored, these spies coming in tuxedos. Like, that does happen for some tasks. Probably not tuxedos, they'll probably just be wearing jeans and a t-shirt. But now you've got to understand, if you're a bad guy, if you're, as this article says, if you're Russia, guys, I think I'm going to do a standalone video on this because the topic is absolutely huge. We have detected a violation using automated measures. Static imagery. I think it's because I'm not moving. I've got another violation on TikTok, guys. Listen, guys, if I drop out on TikTok, just go over to YouTube. It's getting ridiculous now. The TikTok is getting absolutely ridiculous, guys. It's getting absolutely ridiculous. And then when I click appeal, it just comes up with a blank screen. Anyway, I think I'm going to do a standalone. I think I'm going to do a standalone live stream about this on its own, but I just want to elaborate on this a little bit more because it is out on the mainstream media. You know, so you imagine you're there now, you know, Russia, whoever, and you are, you know, you're Russia, you're sat there and you're like, right, I need that substate. I need to take out the power to Heathrow Airport. What you know, you've got options. You've got options. You can fire a missile. 100% you can fire a missile. Definitely you can fire a missile. Right, okay, if I fire a missile, the Brits are going to know where it's come from. They're going to strike back. That missile's expensive. Yeah, we'll be able to take out the Heathrow, you know, we'll be able to stop Heathrow Airport, but, you know, we're going to get a lot of shit come back. Okay, right, so maybe let's say that's got a good chance of success, but a low chance of getting away with it, because you're not going to get away with it. Okay, right, fair enough. So we put that there, and it's going to be expensive. Right, what else can we do? Well, we can send our best spies in there. I mean, though these spies, you know, KGB, years of experience, probably Russian Spetsnaz, KGB training, you know, all the support that goes with that. If they lose that agent or that agent gets captured, you can't just click your fingers and get more spies. You know, they're hard to find. You know, they really are. They're hard to find. You know, when I talk about an infantry soldier, you know, when I talk about NATO soldiers, 4 to 6 months to train a soldier. That's what it takes. And that's what it takes, guys, trust me. So it takes 4 to 6 months to train an infantry soldier. How long do you think it takes to train a top, you know, like a KGB operative? Yeah, you're looking at like maybe 20, 30 years, because that's what you need. Because that guy needs to have the experience, Russian Spetsnaz experience or whatever, you know, and you can't rush through experience. You can't rush through operational experience. So if they lose one of those guys coming over to the United Kingdom to take out Heathrow Airport, you don't have too many of those guys. So maybe that's not the right option. Or you could just pay some criminal gangs a couple of grand to go and burn a substation, and it's done. You see where we're going with that, guys? You know, can you see where we're going with that? So that's what's happening. And when I talk about the civil war that's coming to the United Kingdom, I keep saying this. It's not going to. There's going to have to be a new name for it, because it's not going to be a civil war that is us versus them. It's going to be us versus them versus them versus them. We're allied with them, but only while we're fighting them. And as soon as they're defeated, they're going to turn on us. And these have got, you know, and they've got sponsorship from that country, and they've got sponsorship from this country. And the British police are just like pretending to sort crime out, because right now there's nobody can come up here, guys, and say that we've got nobody can say that we've got a functioning legal system. Not a chance. We do not have a functioning legal system, guys. Right, let me jump over here. EPPING migrants jail release, mind-blowing, says MP. So this is from 1 hour ago, guys. This is from 1 hour ago. The accidental release of an asylum seeker from prison was a mind-blowing blunder, says MP. I think that might be David Lamieux saying this. Hadash, I'm not going to try and pronounce his full name, guys, because it's almost impossible. Hadash was serving a 12-month sentence at HMP Chelmsford after being convicted of sexually assaulting a girl and a woman in Epping, Essex in July. But he was mistakenly set free from prison on Friday. You know, when you read these things now, I don't even, like, honestly, guys, I don't even know what's a joke anymore. Honestly, I don't know what's a joke anymore. It's unbelievable. It is absolutely unbelievable. Chelmsford MP Mary Goldman said, "My mind has been blown how this could happen." Your mind is blown unless you understand that we're being subverted. So all these crazy things that happen, guys, if you understand that this is a natural process of subversion, I mean, who's laughing really? Who's laughing really? Let's just say, for example, that let's just pretend, and let's just, for entertainment purposes, let's just say that the British government has been infiltrated by foreign agents, subverted by foreign agents. Let's just pretend for 1 minute that that's happening. And they want to cause a crisis in the United Kingdom whereby it's just carnage on the streets. Starts to make sense, right? Now it starts to make sense. Now you're starting to see everything. Comment over on YouTube, Endeavour to Preserve is saying Mr. Bean is in charge of the jail. It's, guys, honestly, right now, nobody in the United Kingdom can say that we have a functioning legal system. We don't have a functioning legal system, guys. We do not, I promise. How can you have a functioning legal system? Would this come under the legal system? You guys know what I mean. Whether no, I don't think this would be the legal system, would it? I mean, I would argue we don't have a functioning legal system either. Prison service, I guess. We don't have a we don't have a functioning police service. I think that's fair to say. We don't have, because if we did have a functioning service, then these things wouldn't have happened unless they're meant to happen. And you've got David Lammy coming up there saying, I can't believe how this has happened. How do you think those, how do you think those families feel? And listen, ladies and gentlemen, I talked about this last night and I'm going to say it again. I think this guy, when he gets captured again, I think he's actually going to get a payout from the government. I promise you. I think when this guy's captured again, I think he's going to get a payout from the government. I do. You don't believe me? You think it's wild? Let's see. Let's just wait, guys. Let's just wait. I'm predicting that when, what's his name, Hadush, that I'm predicting, ladies and gentlemen, I'm putting myself out there. I'm predicting that when he's recaptured, he will be recaptured, I'm predicting that once he's recaptured, he gets a payout. That's what I'm predicting, guys. I'm predicting he gets a government payout. Why? Because of the stress, the stress and that's being caused. His humanitarian, his human rights. He didn't understand. He thought he didn't understand anything. He thought he'd done his 12 months and he got let out, and now you're rearresting him, and you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be chasing him. He's actually the victim now. And I promise you guys, my speculation, analysis, and opinion, I bet that when this guy's recaptured, he gets a government payout. Donna is saying, Sean, do you think they're purposely trying to cause? Yes, absolutely, Donna. Absolutely, Donna. I would say that, and I would say it's succeeded as well. So Donna over on YouTube is saying, Sean, do you think they are purposely trying to cause this huge divide? Yes, absolutely. Do you think that this release was intentional to scare us? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's to drive people crazy. And if you think, guys, I've done a long live stream and I've done long videos talking about subversion, but basically you have 4 phases to subvert a country for a takeover. And in our case, we're going to get taken over by the United States. That's the reality. Donna, it's coming, guys. We are going to get taken over by the United States. And I actually welcome it. I do. I welcome it. So the first stage, it's a long, drawn-out process. So the first stage, minimum time for the first stage, it's about 20 years. I know. So your first stage would be demoralization. So you demoralize the target country. So in our case, the United Kingdom, guys, I'll go through it real quick. It'll just be a couple of minutes. And let me know if you're seeing these paths, if you're seeing these footsteps. So phase 1, you've got demoralization, destabilization, crisis, and normalization. If you get taught these different places, they'll teach you different things. But the main 4 phases, this is from Yuri Bezmenov's 4 Phases of Ideological Subversion. If you guys want to go and check him out, he's got videos on YouTube. So phase one is that destabilization, where you just absolutely pump and hammer a country, telling them they're bad, telling them that they shouldn't be doing these things. Oh, look how bad you are. Look how terrible your country has been. Look how terrible you are. Look how bad your institutions are. And this has already been done. And I would argue this started in 1962. I've gone into this before, guys. That's when I would say this has happened. So now you see that length of time we've been, demoralized. Right now we're in the destabilization phase. So the destabilization phase. So now we're in the demoralization phase. So now you have that 20 years minimum. So you have those kids who've gone through university now. They are in their mid-30s. And they're thinking everything's bad. So they're easier to destabilize because they don't know, they don't understand. I mean, look at Oxford University, guys. Is it Oxford or is it with the Jack Sparrow guy? Was it is it Oxford or Cambridge? You guys know what I'm talking about. It's either Oxford or Cambridge. Like, they let this guy in to Oxford or Cambridge University, not because he was smart, but because he was black. Is that not the actual definition of racism? Treating somebody differently because of the color of their skin. So this guy, the Jack Sparrow guy, they let him in Oxford with lower grades because he was black. So how did that one turn out for you? And that's negative to other people who that's negative to everyone. So our institutions are gone. Institutions, guys. So universities gone. Universities are just breeding grounds for like wokeness. Police infiltrated. All our institutions, I would say, are infiltrated. So if you guys want to look at Keir Starmer himself, he went over to Czechoslovakia in 1986, and he was identified by the security services, who were KGB at the time, that he was a person that they could exploit in the future. All this stuff's open source, guys. I'm not telling you anything that's new. So it's quite clear to me that we've already been demoralized. You have kids now who are ashamed to be British. If you want a metric of success, look on your high streets. We have no Britain left, guys. We have no Britain left. Look on your high streets. We have no Britain left. So the next phase then is what we're in now. We are being destabilized. So now you want to fund any fringe groups and cause this division, whether that's Black Lives Matter, Just Stop Oil, Free Palestine, whatever these groups are. You pump money into them and you fund them. And and these are useful idiots. These people who are out protesting, they're useful idiots. And then all these crazy decisions that you see, like flooding the shores with these migrants, that is historically the mass displacement of people. That is a massive Soviet tactic, guys. That is a massive, the mass displacement of people is a massive Soviet tactic. They tried to do it in Poland, but the Polish said, no, we're good, thank you very much. So that's what we're in now, guys. We're being destabilized. The next phase to come is the crisis phase. Now, the crisis phase, I thought we was going to put our toes in it this summer, but it didn't happen. The crisis phase is when all hell breaks out. Literally, all hell breaks out. People are scared. There are literally gangs, Mad Max type gangs roaming. The police have lost control, and I would say the police have lost control anyway. And then once there's once you're in that crisis, the United States will say, listen, we're going to come and take control. We're going to give you guys peace. We're going to give you guys stability. We're going to give you guys, democracy. Look, guys, I'll welcome it. I'm not going to lie. I just want to get it over and done with. Delilah is saying, Sean, you are so right. Thank you, Delilah. Andy B on TikTok is saying, it's so hard to put these PDF in prison, then they are let out by accident, don't get this country. I don't think it was an accident. I don't think it was an accident. I don't think it was an accident, guys. And Delilah is saying they are trying. Delilah the sea witch goddess. Let me pin this. Delilah the sea witch goddess is saying they are triggering people. It's all in plain sight. Absolutely, Delilah. It's all in plain sight. We can see it all now. I'm going to jump over to YouTube, guys. Yeah, Sky. Yeah, so Sky News are saying that this guy, you know, the Hadash or whatever his name is, Hadash, he was last seen in London. Now, I don't know what's going on there, but I do think another aspect of this. Guys, is going to be what they're going to come out and say is, look, if we all had a digital ID, it'd be really easy to catch this guy, you know, because he wouldn't be able to use the train. He's using money. Oh, he's using money, isn't it? I mean, how did he get money? Who's he in contact with? He must have a network. He must have a support network. Claire Price is coming up on YouTube and she's saying, what have I missed? Claire Price, what's Claire Price missed? Hey, Claire, so listen, guys, this morning I'm talking about the EPPING Manhunt latest. I'm not convinced this was an actual error. I'm not convinced this was an actual error. I don't know how anyone can say now, if you live in the United Kingdom, that we have a functioning legal system. I think the whole legal system is the whole thing in the prison. We don't have a functioning system. I think he was released on purpose by, you know, you want to say, you always want to think about some shadowy man in like a black suit or something. But the reality is, it's probably just someone who's gone in there and stole his paperwork and said, right, put that paperwork in there. Yep. And we'll never know. But it will be somebody in authority, somebody who's got high levels of authority. So I would want to know. I'm never going to find out these guys. These would be the questions I would be asking. So if I was in charge, if I was looking into the investigation on this, I would say, right, okay, who had access to these files? Was there anybody new in and around that area? Did somebody with, you know, vast amounts of authority come in and did they have access to these files? And I bet you will find the answer is yes. And that's where you need to put your investigations. But of course, that won't happen. You know, it will just be down to it'll just be down to a clerical error. I'm calling bullshit, guys. I'm calling bullshit. I wonder what the odds are. You know what? I'm going to ask Grok. I'm going to ask Grok real quick what the odds of. I'm going to ask Grok what are the odds of this. See what Grok says. Grok usually likes these questions. If he loads up, he's been slow. I think he's. I think Grok had a lay-in this morning. Right, he's on. Right, hello, Grok. So I've just asked him, what are the odds of the EPPING migrant being released accidentally? Right. Oh, hang on. So, guys, so we have got more info. Grok's fantastic. Right, okay. So the EPPING migrant refers to Hadush, who is either 38 or 41-year-old Ethiopian asylum seeker who was convicted in September 2025 of sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl. You could have made like you know when you keep reading these things, you know, this migrant did this, this migrant did this. You're like, Do you know what would save us a shit ton of money? Imprisoned cells. If we stopped them coming. I'm just giving you guys the facts. Nationwide protests. Right, okay, here we are. He was sentenced to 12 months in prison at HMP Chelmsford and was scheduled for immediate deportation to an immigration removal centre upon nearing the end of his term. However, in October 25, he was accidentally released due to human error, specifically misclassification of his status as a standard prisoner eligible for release rather than a foreign national offender slated for deportation. He was even given £76 subsistence payment. So not only, I told you guys, so not only did they let him out by mistake, they gave him some money as well. What a I mean, honestly, guys, you know that Jet 2 holiday thing? I like they do the thing with the Jet 2 holiday music behind you. Like, I should do that. I'm gonna have to ask Sarah if she can do it because she knows better on the TikTok stuff. You know, with the Jet 2 holiday bit music behind you. Are you a foreign criminal looking to? Are you a foreign criminal tired of the prison service in your country? Don't worry, come to the United Kingdom. Even if we do send you to prison, we'll let you out within a couple of weeks and give you a £76 per person. That's over £200 for a set of 4 criminals. Right, so let's get to the statistics, guys. Let's get to the statistics. This incident highlights rare but high-profile administration errors. Right, so all right, okay, so he wasn't flagged. Right, what are the statistics? Right. Jesus Christ. Gok's giving me a right answer here. It's actually higher than I thought. So Grok is saying it's around 1 in 5,000. 1 in 5,000 chance. So I still think that is quite a high. I was expecting it to be like, I don't know, 1 in 100,000 or something. But Grok's calculating this, and he's given me the calculations. The calculations are really long. Oh, no. Actually, he's saying, sorry. Best estimate, 0.02%. Well, that would be, yeah. Whoa, do you know what? Actually, Grok is saying that there is an annual 838 similar errors. So there are 838 similar errors in the UK. Wow, I didn't know that. That's even worse. Do you know what, guys? I don't know what's worse right now. That there are 800, and this is what Grok's telling me, guys. Grok is telling me that there are 838 similar errors in the UK last year in 2024. That's where Grok's getting his information from. Wow, that is a lot. Oh, hang on. No. And that, okay, right, okay. Right, okay. So sorry. They're the odds of somebody being released. And now what he's saying is for this particular guy to be released, the odds, what he's saying is it's around 1 in 100,000. That seems right. Yeah, that seems more like what I was thinking. So listen, guys, we found out some information today. First of all, as per the individual odds for a specific criminal, so as the odds of one specific person getting, that person getting released is 1 in 100,000. That's what he's saying. However, What he's also saying, Grok, is that there are 838 similar errors in the British prison system per year. Now, both of those statistics are phenomenal to me, guys. Both of those statistics are phenomenal. I didn't realise that the prison service was that bad, that 838 errors occur per year in 2024. Obviously, the data is not in for 2025. Wow, that's phenomenal. And that's from Grok, guys. He may be lying. It may be Elon Musk just trying to trigger me. Right, I'm going to jump over to YouTube, guys, and get some comments. Oh, Mr. Mark is throwing 3 Atlas there. Mr. Mark is saying 3i Atlas is nowhere near us. It's at the other side of the sun. Well, I don't know where 3i Atlas is, guys. I don't. I'm not going to lie. I don't have a telescope to see it. But as we understand that it is somewhere around the other side of the sun. And I think the big date that everybody's looking for is the 29th of... It's not far away. What are we on today? The 25th? Is it the 25th? I think it's the 25th today. Oh, God, it's my mate's birthday. Hang on, let me text him. I'll call him in a bit as well. Yeah, so this asteroid, I mean, the US government right now, they're the big boys, you know, NASA's the big boys. They're the big space boys. I'm shocked and concerned about the lack of information that's out in the media about this asteroid or comet, whatever it is. You know, that information should be getting released, and there's like absolutely nothing. And then you've got this guy Avi Loeb, and again, like, you know, you've got a... When he first started talking about, he called this, and look, guys, I do think he's trying to sell books. I do. That's what I think. Do you know what? I'm gonna change that. I thought he was trying to sell books, but way back when he started talking about this, and he said about this 3i Atlas. Way back when Avi Loeb started talking about this 3i Atlas, we didn't really know what it was. And he says, look, the trajectory, the orbit, well, I guess the trajectory, the plane that it's on as well, and the fact that it comes really close to, is it Mars, Jupiter, and Venus? And it gets to its perihelion, the closest to Earth, or the closest, I think it's the closest to the sun, when the Earth is right at the other side of it. So what people are expecting is either for it to slow down or speed up. Because if you guys remember when I think like in the 70s or whatever it were, when they sent out was it the Voyager probe? Yeah, I think Voyager 2. They found this alignment with the planets, and what they did is, the reason it went so fast is they got the probe or the satellite, whatever, they got it to do gravity assist off all the planets, and then it started to go a lot faster. So hey everyone, listen guys, the TikTok is being an absolute swizzler at the moment, guys. It's been an absolute swizzler. It's just, TikTok have changed their whole algorithm. Like I can't have the chat open to subscribers. You have to do this super fan thing. I've got no control over that, guys. For some reason it keeps restricting me. I don't know what the problem is, guys, but listen, we are triple streaming, so we're on YouTube, we're on TikTok, and we are on X. So if the feed goes down on TikTok, which is likely, jump over to YouTube, guys. I'm the Real Raven One on YouTube. I've just seen a Stone on TikTok. He just put, of the police stating Russia are using criminals to attack us. You said that in a video months ago. Yes, I did. So Stoney here is saying the police are now saying that Russia are using criminals to attack us. Absolutely, guys. I've spoke about this before, and I think I'm going to do I think I'm going to do a standalone video about this because it is quite a big topic. When we're moving into this new and all these things are connected. You know, all these things that seem non-connected. You know, oh, this is happening. This is an isolated incident. This is an isolated incident. But it's pushing everything in the same direction. So when we talk, you know, when months and months and months ago, what I was talking about is that rather than you've got to think, you know, cost analysis, you know, because, you know, the Russians will be doing cost analysis. They'll be saying, right, how much does this big missile cost? And they'll be saying, right, that's like, you know, really expensive. And like, right, okay. And the example I gave earlier was to, because it happened, didn't it? Was it? Yeah. So, so if, for example, you know, the Russians, whoever, wanted to take out Heathrow Airport, of course, they can send they can send Orshnik, you know, this big missile that can't be stopped. And that's true. It can't be stopped. You know, yes, we will fire Orshnik. We destroy Heathrow Airport. We teach Britain, yes. In that instance, they would get missile responses back. So they'd have spent a load of money on the expensive missile, or missiles, because you'd have to have, you might send air defense with it. You're going to get your own shit destroyed. So it's not. So it's going to be a very expensive missile strike, very expensive, because of the cost of your shit, and then the cost of the shit that's going to get blown up afterwards. So financially, it makes no sense. You can send a spy. You can send a spy. You can send a spy. You know, if you're sending a top tier KGB spy, I mean, and you lose one of those, you can't just click your fingers. They're not like conscripts. You can't just click your fingers and, you know, you get another one. They take like 20, you know, they take like 20 years at least. It takes at least 20 years, guys, you know, to develop someone to that level, maybe even longer, you know, depending on, you know, their skill set. So you can imagine now, if you send your best KGB guy to the United Kingdom to take out Heathrow Airport, that's going to be a swizzle. If you lose him, big risk, big risk. Or just pay some criminal gangs, literally pay a criminal gang to do it. And I would speculate that a lot of these criminal gangs are living at taxpayer-funded hotels. Do you understand what a mess we're in, guys? Do you understand the mess that we're in now? Of course, you know, this article from, where is it, from Sky News. This doesn't say that they're in hotels, but I'm telling you guys that they will be in hotels. And I've been saying this for months, maybe even like last year or something. That is the real threat. Do you know what? Over a year, actually. I've been saying this for well over a year. I actually did a top 10 video on YouTube, like I don't know, last year sometime. And I went... Stone E, I've not checked any of the videos. I've not checked any of the videos anybody sent me yet. Hang on, guys. I'm just going up through this. Danny on TikTok is saying, if the average Joe can see what all the problems are, why can't those in charge? Because we're being subverted, guys. You know, if you understand right now that we're getting ready, like the United Kingdom, Britain is being primed right now for a US takeover. That's the reality. And you know, when I say all these things, like months before they happen, you know, just another example now. This is out on Sky News this morning. British citizens are volunteering to commit crimes for Russian state for money and glamour, says counter-terrorist chief. Metropolitan Police Commander Dominic Murphy. That's a strong name. That's a strong name. He sounds like a strong character. Dominic Dumb Murphy. Dumb Murphy. One man alone against the Russian state. Basically, he's come out now and he said the incidents which hostile states attempted to recruit young men. Interesting, he's saying young men. Not very woke. In the UK, we're becoming increasingly common. And I'm going to go one further on that, guys. You know, and obviously the article's not saying it now, but this will get released like in a few months, maybe next year sometime. You know, the information will get released by someone that these recruiters are using Eastern European hotel staff, and they are recruiting migrants or asylum seekers that are in these hotels. Why wouldn't you do that? You know, like what? Like honestly, guys, like why wouldn't you do that if you was a bad guy? Why wouldn't you do that? Martin Quinn is saying a lot of people in Alaska have set up and gone to live in Russia. I wouldn't want to. I mean, I wouldn't want to go. I wouldn't want to do that, guys. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't want to do that. I just want people in the United Kingdom to understand that we're being subverted, and to understand what's coming. Ah. Endeavour to Preserve is saying the word Dominic is of Latin origin, meaning belonging to the Lord or lordly. Ah, it's commonly as all right. Yeah, Dominic Murphy, guys. That's a strong name. Strong name. Right, Slim is saying, okay, all right. People in the chat are talking about the asteroid that's on its way. Helen MG is saying, yes, they're doing the military testing both at the same time. They are playing rock, paper, scissors. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, hang on. Right, listen, guys. We are talking this morning. If you're just joining us for the first time, we're talking about the EPPING manhunt. We've been talking about the EPPING manhunt. I've also been talking about how there are increased risks. More people now volunteering to work for Russian state, commit crime basically for the Russian state for money and glamour. I've been saying that for a while. I mean, the article I've just read, it doesn't really go into it's kind of an, it's a little bit of a whitewash of the depths of this, but these crimes are, it's not just somebody going and robbing a liquor store. It's what they're doing is they're taking out key infrastructure. So, when everybody's laughing and, you get the NATO generals and everybody coming up here saying, yes, we would destroy. You're like, yeah, mate, you don't understand the full you don't understand the full context of this. You literally don't understand the full context. Like here in the United Kingdom, Europe, we already have the enemy army here. Not only do we already have the enemy army here, but we are paying. Imagine this, guys, right? Imagine this. Imagine this. Britain. Imagine Britain. This is where we are right now, guys. I promise you. This is a little story. Britain, 1939, all right? No, Britain, 1941, Britain. Darkest days of World War II. Imagine if Britain opened all our hotels up and we let the German soldiers come in and stay in the hotels. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine what would happen, right? So we open our hotels up in 1941. We let all the Germans come. We let them in the hotels. Not only that, we actually raise taxes from normal people who work here to pay for, the Germans. The Germans have to have some nice food, have to have nice 3 meals a day, have to have a nice little bit of money in their pockets, pay, really look after the Germans. Can you imagine that, right? At the same time, you've got like the government, the military leaders and military chiefs going, yes, we will destroy the German army. We will destroy them because we've got the. And you're like, hang on a minute, mate. We've got hundreds of thousands in hotels. Yes, but we are the military and they are civilian. No. Just because they're not in civilian, just because they're not wearing military uniform, guys. All right, trust me. Trust me, I know a bit about this. Just because they're not in military uniform does not mean they're not soldiers. And just because they're not highly trained doesn't mean they're soldiers. Look at Russia, for example. They use conscripts. They do. Those conscripts, I can guarantee, are not highly trained. They don't need to be highly trained. For that task, they don't need to be highly trained. Russia do have some really highly trained, like really good units. They do. 100% they do. But they don't use them on the front line. They're held back. And they surge forwards through the conscripts and beyond. And then the conscripts fill that gap. So there's a wealth of, capacity and a wealth of, training and a wealth of knowledge. But just because these people don't have uniforms on, let's not pretend that they're not, they couldn't be turned into soldiers or, Civil War soldiers. Because, Russia, Iran, North Korea, I'd say maybe even you could even argue Syria. All these countries, These are adversarial countries. I'm just going to get some, guys, I'm just looking at the time. I'm going to get some, should I stay on for a bit longer? Do you know what, guys? I think I'm going to, what time is it? Sorry, guys. I'm just clicking some buttons on the screen for some reason. The TikTok has gone so bad lately. I don't know what it is. Martin Quinn. I'm just gonna pin this, guys. Martin Quinn. If I'll get a few comments on TikTok, guys, and I will just. Guys, I am gonna stay on for a bit longer this morning. But I am gonna jump over to YouTube at the normal time. The TikTok algorithm, guys, it's a nightmare. It really is. I'm watching my P's and Q's. It's very difficult when I'm trying to talk, and I can't even drink my coffee. I'm not allowed to drink my coffee while I'm streaming on TikTok, guys. I don't even think it matters now because I'm getting restricted anyway. So Martin Quinn is saying they are all sleeper cells. The shit's gonna hit the fan. I think you're right, Martin. I do. I think Martin is right. It's very difficult to say that these people in hotels, it's very difficult to say that you couldn't, I'll put the question out to you guys. Do you think it would be possible to pay? Well, let's ask two questions. Do you think it would be possible in the United Kingdom to go and pay a criminal gang, to go and set fire to a substation? I would say that would be relatively easy. So they're a criminal gang and they want to get some money. Now, of those, whatever you go with that, whether you think that's right or wrong. Now, do you think that these people in hotels could be paid money to go and commit a crime? For example, if somebody just had their asylum, refused. And they're like, yeah, they're going to deport you at some point, mate, so you might as well earn a few quid. And these guys then come out of the hotel and go, well, it's a crafty $5,000 or whatever they pay them. Go set fire to that substation. Okay, I've got nothing to lose. What are they going to do? Deport me? So there you have it, guys. You know, there you have it. You know, we're talking about sleeper cells. It's come out in the mainstream media now that you know, it's out in the mainstream media that the British citizens, and I would say not real British citizens, and I would say lots of migrants are doing this as well. People who don't have British passports. I would say that's your main workforce. Are volunteering to commit crimes for Russian state for money and glamour, says Counter Chief Police Commander Dominic Murphy. Solid name. He mentions men though. Oh, Commander Dominic Murphy was speaking ahead of the sentencing of Dylan Earl, 21, a part-time drug dealer. How are you a part-time drug dealer? Like, how are you a part-time drug dealer? Who writes this dribble? The sentencing of Dylan Earl, a 21-year-old part-time drug dealer. I don't even know what that means. Jake Reeves, 23, an aircraft cleaner at Gatwick Airport, and 4 others for espionage and terrorism offences and arson. Yeah, they're recruiting these people online. I would say, and I just don't think. Oh, so we've got some more names. Ni Kojo Mensha, Rakim Rose, Ugnis Asmera, and Ashton Evans. There's some other names, guys. Other names of people that are. Sorry, guys. I'm just reading down this article here. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to do another live stream on that. I think I'll do that I think I'll talk about that tonight because that's quite a big topic. You know, civil war, what's coming to the United Kingdom. It's you know, it's going to be a big thing, and people are not going to know what's happened. You know, when things start getting, I mean, it's already happening actually. You know, but I don't think it's happening at the rate and ferocity that people understand it can happen. You know, like if you're a country, you know, and your state sponsoring this stuff, like to throw 100, 200, like if you want to throw 100 grand at a country, it's nothing, absolutely nothing, guys, you know, absolutely nothing. And this is when people come and try and tell me that, you know, NATO can win against Russia. It's like saying, right, NATO, you've got the bad guys and you're already you've got the bad guys' enemy forces, part of them, already in your own countries, and you're paying for them. How are you going to win? Like, let's just say, for example, let's just say right now that, let's just say tomorrow morning, this afternoon, whatever, Keir Starmer comes up and he says, yeah, we're going to have a good old WW3 with Russia. The first thing the Russians are going to do is pump a load of money into the hotels, those networks of people that they've already got on the books. Let's not pretend that those networks are not already established, because they are. Those people on the books will just say, oh, right, yeah, he's going to pay us $5,000 to go and burn this substation down. He's going to pay us $5,000 to burn this delivery depot down. He's going to pay us $5,000 to go and slash all the tires on these trucks. And these are all the strategic civilian infrastructure that supports the military. And this is what people don't understand. That's what's going to get taken out. You're not going to go down to, I don't know, You're not going to go down to a special forces base and try and take those guys out. It's going to end badly for you. Trust me, guys, it will end badly for you. So why would you bother with that? You're going to take out the surrounding infrastructure, and then you don't need to take out the special forces base because those guys don't have any kit equipment then. Louis Smith is saying $5,000 is 5 days. These $5,000 is $5,000 these times, Sean. Times are hard. People are easily influenced. Den is saying, is this also planned for the US? No, this is not planned for the US. No, not planned for the US. The US are going to take over the United Kingdom. And I think the Russians are going to come down and take the rest of Europe. And Britain will be part of the United States. A vanguard. So, no, Den, I don't think it's planned for the United States. Right, guys, listen, I've waffled on a little bit too long. I'm going to jump over to YouTube, guys. I'm going to jump over to YouTube. I'm the Real Raven 1 on YouTube. I'm the Real Raven 1 on X. I'll be closing this down on TikTok. I'm going to be back on later on today. I think I'm going to be, well, I'll be back on at 8. I may be on before that, and I'm going to be talking about this breaking news that's happening at the moment, whereby the Russians are allegedly paying criminal gangs now to commit acts of crime. I think I'm going to talk about that because that is a big topic, guys. You know, it's a big topic, and I do know quite a lot about that. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not going to jump over to YouTube, I will see you guys later. And we are off. We are off. We've stopped it with those guys. I've stopped getting restricted now. I don't have those restrictions. Welcome, everyone. Trumpsky will save us. Adonis saying we hope. Does anyone reckon nukes will be used? Right, listen, guys, I'm going to weigh in on this because I don't think nuclear weapons are ever going to be used. I don't think nuclear weapons are ever going to be used ever again. My reasoning for this is absolutely wild. It is, guys. It's wild. I've got a wild reason why I don't think nukes will ever be used. There was the best. Is that the right word? There was an opportunity, a real opportunity for Putin to use nuclear weapons in. Like last year, I think June, maybe last year, I can't remember. Basically, when the Ukrainians went into Kursk, to the Kursk region of Russia, that was a perfect opportunity for Putin to use nuclear weapons. You know, absolutely, like it ticked all the boxes for Putin, but it didn't. But NATO couldn't have responded because if you guys remember when that conflict happened, the United States said, look, if Russia uses a nuclear weapon in Ukraine, we are going to take out everything in Ukraine. We're going to use air power, and we're going to just destroy everything. Everything in that country, we're just going to destroy it. We're not going to use a nuke, but we will destroy every tank, every piece of armor, every air defense. I mean, that's a massive flex. That's a flex, guys, But if Putin had have used a nuclear weapon on his own country, I think that would have been fair game. Also, Russian nuclear doctrine at that time was if Russia is under threat, they can use a nuclear weapon. So I don't know how else you can describe tanks, foreign tanks and foreign soldiers on your ground as a threat. I don't know how else you can describe that threat. So I do think that would have been a perfect time for the Russians to use a nuclear weapon. Now, we all have these images of nuclear weapons on a what's that movie with Sacha Baron? Is it Dictator? Where he's saying, I want it to be pointy. The thing, we all have these images, don't we? Of these images of nuclear weapons on I need a rocket. I need props. We all have these images of nuclear weapons on a rocket. That's probably like one of the worst ways that the Russians could have done it in that context, because there's a lot of things that can go wrong. You know, you can, there's engineering problems. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. So what you could have done, what I think would have been the easier method, is just to drive one in on the back of a truck. All your scientists, technicians can do whatever they need to do. Pour the magic potion in, you know, crank it up or whatever you do to start a nuclear weapon, you know. And then they could have just left it there. And that would have been a perfect, you know, perfect way to use one. But it didn't. So I just don't see them ever being used, guys. I really don't. And it all costs. Yesterday, the federal government removed an entire gang in Kensington, Pennsylvania. Oh, sorry, I missed this first. So, Endeavour to Preserve is saying, President Trump's a little busy saving the United States from the national media, China and Canada. Yesterday, the federal government removed an entire gang in Kensington, Pennsylvania. I mean, we're here in the United Kingdom, some of us anyway. We're looking what's happening in the US and thinking, wow, I wish we had somebody that would just take control in the United Kingdom who would just say, look, this is ridiculous. One of the problems in the United Kingdom is, well, first one of the problems is we don't have a constitution. We have no constitutional rights in the United Kingdom, none. So because we don't have a constitution, we get walked all over. It's, you know, and think of a constitution like a contract between the government and the people. The government will do X, Y, and Z. In return, you know, the people will do A, B, and C, or, you know, how it works. Now, because we don't have that, right now we have like that, we have like an animal farm constitution where the pigs are the only ones who can read it, and they keep scribbling it out and changing things and saying, oh, no, that's what it says. Andrew is saying, I've seen that migrants can buy a death threat letters from the Taliban. Even they are cashing in. Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you be an entrepreneur? I mean, honestly, you know, have you got your death threat? It's like, you know, when you're like, if you've ever applied for a visa, you know, they ask you to send in certain documents. Well, there you have it, you know. You know, have you got your death threat letter? No, I've not got it yet. I can't afford one. Oh God, right, okay. Well, you know, maybe, as soon as you've got your death threat letter. Oh, hang on a minute. Building collapses in Manchester. Well, that sounds weird. 17 hours ago. Right, let's see what this is. What on earth? Building collapses in Manchester. The owners of a building which partially collapsed. Buildings don't collapse. In Manchester city centre felt like an earthquake to workers nearby. Witness described, right, what did this building just fall down? Witness described the ground shaking when scaffolding fell from the empty Alberton House building on Bridge Street, which is in the process of, right, okay, so it's been demolished. Right, okay. Okay, so it's been demolished. Okay. So it looks like there was the scaffolding fell down or something as I'm getting it here. From now is saying, do you think Starmer's rent boys got paid by Russia to set the fire? I don't know with this one, guys. I don't know with this one. It's a difficult one. I mean, well, do you know what? Let's unpack it together. Let's unpack this together, okay? So what do we know? We know that Keir Starmer has been to, has been identified by the KGB in 1986 as a person that could be exploited in the future. We know that. We know that. That's fact. We know that one of Keir Starmer's biggest funders, Lord Ali, has ties back to Epstein. So we know that. That's fact. You know, they are facts. So I don't think it's unreasonable to suggest that Keir Starmer is a foreign agent. I don't think it's unreasonable to put those things together and say there's a chance. You know, I don't think it's unreasonable to say that, guys. Now, if he is a foreign agent and he does like the young boys, what better way to get him in a honey trap than to give him young boys and, you know, cripple him even more? Now, the fact that they've set fire to his cars, it doesn't, you know, it's kind of like I said, I don't see. Because if you wanted to control Keir Starmer, you would just say, look, Keir, we have got you here with these pictures, like literally 3 days ago, you know, having your little, you know, with your little habit, do this, pass this bill. When all the Muslims are running crazy in the United Kingdom, going stabby, stabby, rammy, rammy, give them an extra 10 million for safety for their, let me Google this actually, I need to get this right. Yeah. So right now, guys, you know, I should have led with this. This is what I should have led with. Right, guys, tell me in the comments, is there, like, if you were, like, if there was like a crime wave in the UK. In fact, I think I've got this as a little video actually. If there was a crime wave in the UK and you had to say what religion predominantly that crime wave were, what would you say? And just a straight up question. If you would say, right, listen, guys, predominantly the criminals in the UK, what religion are they? Like, disproportionately? Stabby stabbers, rammy rammers, blowy blowers, girly groomy, heady choppy, like, what, like, would you say that there's like a religion that are they all agnostic? Are they all Buddhists? Are they all Norwegian fishermen? Like, what would you say is the underlying thing? I would say a lot of those are, you know, Muslims. I would say that, guys, and I don't think that's I don't think I'm being out of place by saying that. Now, Keir Starmer has just released UK government 10 million boost to protect Muslim communities. Protect Muslim communities from who? Like, from who? But when you understand this as part of subversion, you understand what it is, don't you? You can understand now that is a subverted thing. So Keir Starmer's maybe being told behind the scenes, and look, guys, it's me speculating, I don't know. But would it be beyond the realms of possibility that Keir Starmer's being told, right, listen, we need to really drive these people crackers. Go and protect those people who are committing, oh yes, I will. So, you know, when we go back to the rent boy question, I don't know. You know, burning that car out would not be something you'd want to do, because if you're blackmailing somebody, you don't want everybody to know you're blackmailing them. You know, you would want to keep that on the down low, because you wouldn't want people being suspicious. You would want everybody to think that Keir Starmer's not compromised. You would want everybody to think, because otherwise, if everybody knows he's compromised, you're not doing your job well. And he can't perform his tasks for you as well as he could, because he's like, oh God, there's so much heat on me at the moment. I can't do that because people are looking into everything. But 10 million to protect Muslims from hate crimes? God's little helper is saying satanic sacrifices. What does that mean, God's little helper? God's little helper. What does that mean? Can you give context? I don't know what that means. Nikki Bishop is saying the government and elites want civil war so they can clamp down on us. Yeah, I think it's coming, but I think it's gonna end with a US takeover. Footlong Bong, I'm just going to call him Footlong. He's saying Putin said if there was British Storm missiles, I think that's Storm Shadow missiles, or anything, the West will feel the consequences. So there's a series of missiles that the British have given the Ukrainians. Storm Shadow, Scalp, it's the same thing. The British use Storm Shadow and the French use the Scalp. It's literally the same system. It'll probably have different targeting, probably a few different sensors inside, but it's more or less the same. And the Germans, I think they have a missile system called Taurus. Now, these are air-launched cruise missiles, basically. What people don't understand is these weapon systems were developed for the West. The West fight wars totally different. So they're not being as effective because they're being used as standalone systems. You know, and without that multi-domain capacity to time those missile strikes with an artillery barrage and time that artillery barrage with an infantry move, to be able to, you need to be able to do all this stuff together. You can't just give people one thing. And, you know, I don't think they're going to be, well, first of all, I don't think they're going to be, I don't think they're going to be, well, they're not going to be disruptive. They're not going to be disruptive. There's nothing that the Ukrainians can't produce anyway themselves. Mr. Bites is saying, do you think that when Starmer loses power, he's going to make it very hard for the UK to return to normal? I'm not convinced Starmer will lose power, guys. Let's just consider, let's just, we shouldn't write Labour off. All they have to do is stop the boats and start mass deportations and be tough for a couple of months. People will vote for them. People are fickle. If we're in a hot war with Russia, there'd be a coalition. I think the government are just playing their role, guys. I do. I think the government are just playing their role, and we are witnessing a massive global shift. You know, we're witnessing a massive global shift, the likes that we can't even comprehend what's happening behind the scenes, because like nothing like this has ever happened before. That's what I think's happening. And Helen is saying that's why he wants the war, no election. Yeah, you know, it's definitely on the cards, guys. Definitely on the cards. Right, let me try and get an update on this, guys. Let me try and do you know what? I'm going to ask Grok. Okay, so last key developments, last known sighting of Kabatu. He was captured on CCTV boarding a London-bound train from Chelmsford railway station. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining for the first time and you don't know what's happening right now, in the United Kingdom, we had a migrant staying at a hotel He sexually, you know, I can say it now. He sexually abused. Sexually assaulted. I think he was 2 teenage girls and a woman. I think was it? I think it was 2 14-year-old girls and a woman. I think that's what it was. Yeah, it might have been 1 14-year-old girl and a woman. I've just got that mixed up. Anyway, so there were protests all over this erupted protests in Epping and on a wider all of the United Kingdom this summer. You know, I said we were going to have the Summer of Carnage. We kind of like have the Summer of Carnage light. This guy then, you know, he got arrested. He got sentenced to 12 months in prison. Incidentally, some people that got arrested at the protest got longer in jail than he did. Some people who were arrested at the protest got 2 years. Anyway, so this guy now, he's in jail. He's serving a crafty 12, and then he's going to get deported. By mistake, and I look, guys, I'll be quite clear with you. I don't think this was by mistake. By mistake, the government released him. Released him early. They said, right, off you go. Not only did they release him early, they even gave him £76 in his back pocket and said, right, off you go. So he's absconded now. So I'll try and give you guys an update. So he was last captured on CCTV boarding a London train from Chelmsford railway station at 12:41. Do we believe that, guys? Do we believe that he wasn't seen getting off that train? Do we believe do we believe that those CCTV cameras in London were not able to pick him up? Do we believe that? I don't. So that was his last known sightings from mainstream media. I don't have any inside information on this, of course, guys. But there have been no reportings or no sightings of him since. So there you have it. He's gone into the ether. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, before I talk about what some people, I'm going to give you some responses. I'm speculating right now, guys, that when this guy is caught, he will get a payout. That's what I'm saying. I am saying that he will get given a payout, a big payout, like hundreds of thousands. That's what I'm saying. So the Justice Secretary, David Lammy, thank God David Lammy, honestly, guys, like thank the heavens that David Lammy's on the case. David Lammy, described as livid and appalled. Lammy has ordered a full and immediate investigation. Sorry, guys. A full and immediate investigation into the prison service's human error, the miscalculation that led to him leaving. He emphasised Kabatu must be deported for his crimes, not on our streets. Well done, David. Well done. Well done, David. Fantastic. Great guy. Great guy. And called him a dangerous individual. I mean, is he dangerous? You know, I would say a human rights lawyer is going to look at that and they're going to sue David Lammy for making a defamation claim. Prime Minister Keir Starmer called the incident totally unacceptable. And this is what they do, isn't it? You know, these bad things happen. Oh, rammy, stabby, stabby. We stand with the people. Our thoughts are with we will not let this community, we will not let them divide our communities. Britain's strength is in its diversity. Oh, Jesus Christ. You just press the autoplay. The Shadow Home Secretary, Chris Philp, labelled it as staggering incompetence. I think that's fair to say. And demanded a public inquiry. Reform leader Nigel Farage on X said, broken Britain. Britain is broken. Amplifying the public outrage. And it is, guys, it's insane. Epping Forest District Council leader Chris Whitbread issued a statement today expressing being appalled by the release, highlighting the community concerns in Epping where Kabatu's original assaults sparked summer protests. Crazy, guys. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely insane. Yeah, Nikki, I don't. Nikki's saying, Nikki Bishop's saying, I don't believe this illegal was accidentally released. I don't as well. You know, we calculated the odds with Grok, and two things that were astonishing actually. So Grok is calculating this as 1 in 100. He had a 1 in 100, 1 in 100,000 of percent. Sorry, 1 in 100. The odds of him being released were 1 in 100, 1 in 100,000. There's a lot of working now on that, and that's what Grok's saying. Something that Grok also brought to my attention, and I didn't have any idea of this. I mean, why would I? But he's saying that there are 838 similar annual errors. And this is from 2024. So like, are those statistics, is that number not phenomenal? You know, that there are 838 similar incidents with the prison system. And I can only assume this is like early release stuff. And he brings it up. I know I mentioned this last night. It brings like, you know, that movie, I think it's Life of Brian, or it might not be. I can't remember what it is. But that, I think he's like, he's going to be crucified, and he's going through the he gets to the gate, and the guy goes, crucifixion or freedom, and he says, no, is it? I can't. He's coming through at the end, and like he says something to him. He says, "Is it crucifixion?" And he says, "No." He says, "No, it's release." And he's like, "Oh, is it release?" He's like, "Yeah. Oh, sorry about that." And he like just scribbles him off and sends him on his way. That's the vibes I'm getting of the British, of the prison system. You know, are you in for 10 years? No. They said I had to leave today. Oh, I've got you down here as 10 years. No? Oh, don't worry. It's probably a mistake from there, and I'll have you on your ear. Here's some money. Andrew is saying it's possible he doesn't even know he is wanted. He has been given his belongings, his release papers, and £76 and told. So why would he think he's on the run? Exactly, Andrew. Exactly. This is why I think he's going to get a payout. I do. I think he's going to get a payout. I think some liberal lawyers, they're going to be rubbing their hands together. You know, they're going, oh, come on, guys, come on. Can we do this? Can we do this? Yeah, of course we can. Because it's, I'm going to say it's violating his human rights, arresting him twice, putting him under undue stress, Yeah, it was an error, but it wasn't, Hadash's error. Hadash thought he'd done his time in prison. He thought he'd served his time. He thought he'd done his 12 months. I do, guys. I think he's going to get a massive payout. Unless Dexter finds him first. I don't know what that means. Right, listen, guys, I am going to close this down. The crux of this live stream has been the epic manhunt, guys. It's been an absolute farce. It's embarrassing. Like, Britain's not even a real country right now, guys. I just, like, it's just ridiculous. Absolutely insane. I'm not convinced that this was an accident. I think this was done to sow the seeds of, sow the seeds of division, more destabilization of the country, and it leads on to what we were talking about earlier, whereby British citizens are now volunteering to commit crimes for Russian state for money and glamour. Now, that's not me saying that. That is the counter-terrorism chief, Dominic Murphy. Again, strong name. I've spoken about this quite a few times, months and months ago, and I'm going to go one further. I'm going to say a lot of these people will be recruiting from hotels. Word of mouth recruiting is always the best because there's no electronic trace, and I do think these are signs of things to come. It's all connected. I would say the same people that made the mistake are the same people who are recruiting. And look, ladies and gentlemen, when people talk about, the United Kingdom or NATO versus Russia, imagine Britain 1939 with a load of German soldiers in hotels, paying them and feeding them. Like, do you not think something is going to go wrong there? I do. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be back on later. I may be on in the afternoon, actually, and talk about this. Or I think I might just save it till this evening. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, guys. Share my stuff on your socials. That really helps me out when you guys do that. Like, follow, bell notification down below, guys. Really helps me out. And I'll see you guys later. And of course, thank you for hanging out with me this morning.